Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning back in. We just got out this morning. Sound kind of froggy. I think it's actually the first words I've said all day, considering I haven't talked to anyone this morning yet. Anyways, we're out here on the water. We're going to play around with this guy just a little bit more. You know, after seeing how many guys are catching good fish on these dice style baits, you know, this is specifically, let me show it to you. This is the Strike King version. This is the floating tumbleweed. And then I've just got it paired up with our weedless wacky shot by Core Tackle, so it screws up and on the hook. And this thing, I've been throwing this specific bait now for days. I mean, you can see it's lost a lot of its tentacles, so I actually am thinking I need to change it from that standpoint. But I've just really been trying to concentrate quite a bit over this last several days where I've been able to get out and do a bunch of fishing. I'm trying to develop skills that I don't have. I'm trying to become a better angler, and a lot of times that really entails having to use lures that I don't generally use. So as you can see, I've been putting these specific ones through the ringer. I've been throwing the Q-Bomb by G-Crack quite a bit, but you can see tentacle wise, comparatively, this one's been getting eaten, and I've been catching a bunch of fish on it. So it's really one of those baits where I'm just trying to continue to figure out the best way to use it, types and places to throw it. You know, I've seen how good it works on a drop shot for smallmouth. I've had guys tell me it works really well for spotted bass. Now, I don't live anywhere close to spotted bass, so I'm gonna have to hold off and probably give that a try in the spring at some of the bigger tournaments. But I never had really had much luck for largemouth in the little bit that I had used it in different scenarios. But I will say this last several days, I've caught a lot of fish fishing it for largemouth. As you can see, we have no smallmouth here. It just feels like you gotta approach it a little different. I think a drop shot still would work great, but I also feel like, you know, you're looking at got to put it where the bass live. And in the case where I'm at right now, I've got to throw it where the bass live. I got to put it in the lily pad holes. I got to put it in the weed holes. I got to throw it up against a laydown, things like that. And that's where this weedless hook really comes in handy. I couldn't do that with an exposed, you know, hook drop shot. So I'm just going to keep working on it this morning. I figured I'd bring you along. I've got a couple hours before I got to head in and see if we can catch a few fish. Boy, he drilled that. Not exactly what we're looking for, but he hit that so hard. So this is just a prime example of a location where I've really been finding a lot of success with it. You know, this is such a light bait and it just kind of glides. And in this case, I'm actually fishing, you know, some current coming through here. And with the 1/28 ounce wacky, it's basically like fishing it weedless or weightless, and it's just sliding through these areas. So it's kind of one of those places where, you know, if you have an area where you're getting bit on a wacky rig, this is another good way to go about that, because you can just basically let the bait glide down if you have any current. And that's something that has been really productive for me. And there is part of me that still thinks that this whole dice style bait is something that, you know, the fish haven't seen, and it's really for them, it's just something different, and they're just still trying to figure out what's going on because they haven't seen them. Well, this is not what we're after, but another prime location for the dice is under docks, and almost to the point where the bait skips too much. It's like shooting a ping pong ball off the water. You can just see, I mean, it just flies back in there. But you know, this bait to me is so much of a target oriented bait. Like, it's not, from what I've seen, it's not like just a great fan cast try to cover water bait, because you're not going to do it. You want to throw it to where you think the fish are at. And you know, some of that, for me, the experiences come from fishing a lot of it with forward-facing sonar. And before you crucify me for it, we still can learn and utilize forward-facing sonar for things like this. So when you're not using it, you can put it to work. But basically, one thing I've noticed is generally your bites happen it one of two times with this bait. Now, maybe you guys have had different experience, so I'd love to hear from you guys too. But for me, I've seen enough fish that either hit it instantly on the fall, you know, on the first drop, or they end up hitting it after you let it fall to the bottom. You pop it, get it up off the bottom, that's when they'll bite it. Like I've just seen too many fish that will follow it to the bottom and look at it, and either when you pop it the next time, they're either going to eat it at that point or they don't eat it. You know, they might look at it a few times then disappear. So for me, you know, I don't work this bait all the way back to the boat. I'm throwing it at a target, whether it's a hole in the pads, a hole in the grass, a stump, a dock, things like that, high percentage areas, or I'm probably not going to be throwing it, honestly. I'm throwing it at very specific things. And, you know, a target would also be a fish. So if you're fishing forward-facing sonar with it, you know, maybe you're fishing a boulder like everyone was doing, you know, for smallmouth. Or maybe you're throwing at a suspended fish, or, you know, a fish that you see. The point here is it's not what I would consider a cast and wind bait. It's a throw it at a target and move on. And from that standpoint, I think it's pretty good at that, though. It's, you know, to me, it's really a similar bait to like a wacky rig. A wacky rig is the same way. I don't generally fish a weightless wacky rig, say, you know, or a really lightly weighted wacky rig back to the boat. I throw it and I maybe work it for, I don't know, you know, 15 or 20% of the cast. You know, I generally let it fall just like this, really slow fall, and then pick it up, pop it a few times. And if I don't get bit at that point, I'm reeling in, throwing it at another target. And I just put this bait in the same category. A little better, not much. Chunky, a little better. I will also say that the hookup percentage is really good with this this pairing. I mean, it seems like those fish, if they eat this, it's going in their mouth. There's not much you know, nibbling on it. Now, I will say the bluegill, on the other hand, absolutely love to pull on the tails. But from a largemouth standpoint, man, if they hit it, they've got it in their mouth. I mean, you really should be hooking up and landing the majority of your fish. And this little combo is a killer little combo for it. I definitely should think about changing this guy. It's more of a spider looking bait right now than anything. Still getting bigger, but we're still in the small range. Come on. Just 12 inches. But that was a cool one, because another, like I mentioned before, another way I love fishing them is through these pads. It's really, really weedless on this hook, I should say. So, you know, I'm always looking for holes in the pads or edges And it doesn't have to be much. It can just be a little seam, you know, it doesn't need to be much. But you can, the way this hook is keel weighted, you can just basically retrieve it right over all this stuff. And you can see, I mean, when you retrieve it, the way the bait is connected to the hook, it just rides like that, always up. So you bring it right over the pads, and I mean, it's almost like you could fish it as a frog. I've had frog type blow-ups on it as I'm just reeling from one hole to another hole, and it's extremely good for that, which, to be honest, I was pretty surprised. But the thing is, you've got, it's really just a matter of the bait being a ball or a cube, and the way it fits perfectly against that weight just allows it to ride right over the top. I mean, it's the same reason why you can skip it so good. It's just that bulkiness of the ball, and you can just fire it out there. I mean, I'll just throw it almost as, if there's holes that I can fish, I'll throw it basically as far as I can, and I'll just work it from hole to hole to hole. Let it fall in that hole, wiggle it a little bit, nothing. Oh, there's one. Maybe a little better, but not much. We're getting there. I mean, he's got that thing right down there. But that's how I like to do it. I mean, it's, you can cover water with it from that standpoint and still fish your high percentage areas. Boy, we're really down to just a handful of tentacles. But I mean, again, I'll just throw it out there, let it fall. You know, the thing with holes, a lot of times you gotta, if you like to fish pads, I'm sure you know this, but a lot of times you have holes because there's a bottom change, whether that's composition, depth, weed type, and it just really creates like its own little environment that, ooh, that was a bite, that become kind of like fish homes, I guess is what I would say. And where I'm fishing right now, a lot of times when you have a hole, it's actually because you've got like a depth change. So you have these little like old sunken bogs, and just like, I don't really exactly even know what they are. They might be springs too that are popping out of the ground. But the point is that they'll become a little bit deeper. And this one in this instance is not actually that way, but a lot of them are. And you just kind of got to fish through them and find the ones that have the holes. But holes, pretty much no matter where you're at in the country, if you're fishing pads, holes can be prime locations. And I would add with that too, that I wouldn't be afraid to throw this on heavier gear. You know, I'm just kind of finesse fishing around. I've got 10-pound, actually it's a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader, and I've got that tied to 10-pound braid. This is just the Berkeley Forward. So it's not, I guess, super finessey, but it's not, you know, if I wanted to, a lot of these dice baits are heavy enough where you could throw it, you know, on a little bit heavier hook and a, you know, heavier bait caster. I still wouldn't go like super heavy, but you could definitely throw it on a little heavier gear if you wanted, or even just a heavier spinning rod. That's becoming a pretty good tactic too, fishing a little heavier spinning gear. As I mentioned, this one is definitely getting beaten up. If you compare a new one, that's how many fish I've caught. You can see all the teeth marks all over it. So I'm actually going to just show you how to rig it on the hook. I'm actually not going to just throw this one away. I can probably still catch some fish on this, but that's just up, I guess, up to the angler. You know, they're pretty expensive and it's still working. I'm just feeling like maybe if I put one on that's got a little bit more bulk to it, maybe I'll generate a little bit better size. I mean, you guys have seen how good that guy can generate bites, but let's see if we can catch a bigger one. So we're going to replace the beaten up one, and these are the Strike King tumbleweeds. Now I prefer the floating ones, and that just has to do with the fact that I would rather have a slower fall. Can't say I've actually fished the other ones that much. So when I rig this, I'm gonna go, there's a flat side with this bait specifically, You can see right here that has no tentacles. So I'm just going to go right down the middle of that and through the bait. And at that point, you just kind of apply pressure. Like you want to turn it so it's flush with the hitchhiker. And then at that point, you can just thread it right up on, and that thing will not come off once it's on. Now I do go all the way up to the bait keeper. Just like that. Just getting it positioned the way I want it, and there you go. There's one. Feels better. He's better. Right on the nose. Maybe the bulkiness helps generate better quality bites. I do feel like generally the bigger, fullier ones I go, the less bites. The bigger the body, the bigger the arms. You know, for me, and talking with some other anglers, one thing that a lot of guys, it sounds like, are doing is they're trimming the material down if they have one that has really long skirt material on it, to the point where it's about, you know, more like that, you know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. I just threw that out. I'm letting it sink, and there's some, you probably can't see them, there's a group of otters swimming across the lake. I'm a big fan of the old otter, so I was just sitting here watching them. All of a sudden I felt tap. Sometimes the dumb have luck too. Just like that. I told you guys you get frog bites doing it. Oh, there's another one with it too. That was awesome. Wonder if we can get that other one. They're getting bigger. 1 3/4 pounds. I was just reeling across the pads and stopped it right there. That was awesome. Well, I should probably call it a morning. Go make some breakfast for the boys. Just a fun little morning. I really, one of my favorite things to do is always just kind of fish with new baits. And this was a bait I probably wrote off too early, like I am known to do at times. Sometimes you just got to put a bait in your hands and really just force yourself to use it, to build the confidence with it if you know people are catching fish with it. And that's, you know, this is one of those instances where I just have too many buddies that were talking about how good they were for mostly smallmouth, but a lot of people have been catching largemouth with them too. And you know, sometimes you just finally get sick of hearing it, and you gotta put it in your hand and go see if you can't make it happen. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's just like, man, this bait's not for me. And other times you find you really like the bait. And this is one of those baits where I'm starting to feel like I probably just, you know, wrote it off too soon. Didn't like the look of it, didn't like the shape of it, didn't like the fact that it didn't do anything. And man, some of the best baits out there don't need to do anything. And this is, you know, I'm not saying this is the greatest thing ever, but I'm also feeling like there's definitely a time and a place where the fish just want this, or they'll bite this and they won't bite other things. So like I said, I gotta head back in. We're probably just gonna call it a morning with that, see what the boys want to do. Bluegill popping at it, and we'll let you guys go. Thanks for watching, everyone. Appreciate all the support. Stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow.